All right, fans of music, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and yours truly right here. Last summer, as you know, I kind of sort of made my mark here on YouTube by covering the Twitter storm, tweet storm, as some folks like to call it, that Neal Schon initiated against primarily Jonathan Cain, who didn't tweet storm back. He kept his powder dry. He didn't refute any of the charges, didn't talk about much of this really, hasn't really opened up in interviews other than saying that his relationship with Neal has reset, meaning this year things are fine. Okay? Now, let me make something clear. I was on John's side last summer because I thought it was outrageous that Neal was tweeting against one of his bandmates, and I thought that this was just bizarre behavior, and I wasn't sure what was up with it. I have learned quite a bit since then, and I have done a complete 180, and I understand why Neal Schon went on the offensive. The reason he went on the offensive is because he was all by himself. Management and the rest of the band members appeared to be against Neal. Now, why do I say that? Because I know for a fact that there were behind-the-scenes discussions as to removing Neal Schon from the band or going on without him. There were definitely discussions as to how the band would proceed without Neal Schon in it. That they could tour without Neal, possibly put his son in as a guitar player, and just move forward without Neal Schon. That came to a screeching and abrupt halt after the tweet storm happened, and people started to realize that, hey, it seems as though one member in particular was taking credit for things that he didn't do on his own. For instance, songwriting. Don't Stop Believin' at one point was said to be the song that I, not me, but this particular band member, the guy who wrote on his Twitter page, it used to say, the guy who wrote Don't Stop Believin', okay? And then later it was changed to co-wrote. And then if you look at the order of involvement on the 45, which I did a video on, that order puts it as Perry, Schon, Cain, I believe, on the 45. Those sorts of claims and this idea that, yes, I'm taking this song, which was primarily, I believe, a Steve Perry orchestration. And when I say that, I mean arranging, you do this here, you do that over there, give me this, give me that, give me the rolling piano, give me the guitar that sounds like a train coming down the track. This was a Steve Perry dictation. He's dictating what he wants, and the song comes to form. Now, I'm not saying you didn't need all three of these guys to get this song right. Okay, you needed everybody. You needed Ross, you needed Steve Smith, you needed everybody to make this song happen. But getting back to the original point here, it just seemed last summer that I was seeing this through a very narrow lens of, hey, why is Neal doing this? And now I know, because behind the scenes, it was bye-bye Neal. How do we get out from under Neal Schon? And Neal had a different view. He had a different vision for the future. He wanted a journey to record music, new music. And the other guys, I think, were fairly content on playing the hits, which they're doing this year. So, in essence, they kind of got their way. There was no new music recorded other than the Synchronicity 2 song, which is not a Journey song. Let's correct Ultimate Classic Rock and a few other outlets who have said, watch Journey perform a Police song. No, This was Pineda, Schon, and Smith. That's who actually performed on this, with a couple of other session guys to fill in, on bass and keyboards and so forth. So this rift, although it has gone away because these guys outwardly are doing, incredible acting here. This is like the Jack Nicholson of concert unity and harmony on stage. It's very breathtaking to see. But, a large contract with a large payoff probably doesn't pay off completely until the tour is over. That'll be incentive for these guys to go out and do their very best and to look like they're actually having fun. But I can tell you, behind the scenes, things are still bubbling under. We shall see, like I always say, what happens after this tour. But remember, last summer, I was pro John because I thought, I don't understand. He's a free citizen. He can go to the White House. He can do what he wants to do. But if you look back a couple years prior to this, they were all unified. They used to do interviews together where they would say, we're not political. There was much more genuine harmony rather than this fake harmony. And I think there's one person out there that changed all of this. Okay? And their relationship to John Cale and the band Journey, I think, affected everything as Journey began to be pulled in a certain direction. And all Neal was doing last summer was pulling back. He was pulling back to the Steve Perry era. He was pulling back to the classic rock era. He was pulling back away from the revisionism that you see either in books or even in song introductions, how songs are introduced. Even though I think it's great to pay tribute to our military, I think you need to leave certain songs alone and say, hey, this is a song about marital fidelity, about love, about being faithful to the one you love when you're away from them. And you could say, yeah, that's how you tie it in to the armed forces, but it's a little shaky because we all were there, or a good majority of folks my age lived through the song and understood what the song was about. The song was written about being on the road, being away. They say, being on the road is no, way to raise a family. All right, that's a pretty clear-cut lyric. So in any event, there's a lot of revisionism, and I'm trying to kind of put a little bit of a lid on it, because I've noticed after I do a video, sometimes things actually change. It's pretty weird, but apparently some folks are watching me. All right, done, in the can. See you soon.